Awesome. I'm really glad I checked that before we went live. Okay, here we go. Start streaming. Yes, I would like to start streaming, please. Thank you. Star Wars Reclamation. Episode 1, Escape from the Purge. The Jedi Order has fallen. With the execution of Order 66 at the close of the Clone Wars, most Jedi are killed or captured, and a new galactic empire rises to fill the void of the crumbling Old Republic. Attempting to quell any future Jedi uprisings, Emperor Palpatine founds the Inquisitorius, a sect of dark Force users dedicated to rounding up Force sensitives and escaped Jedi for processing, detainment, and possible execution. On the Outer Rim, aboard the Imperial prison barge Purge, 4 strangers attuned to the Force are drawn together, inexplicably, for some yet unknown purpose. We pan down. We see the stars yawning before us. And then a silhouette blots them out. Silent. Massive. The Purge. One of the first starships built under the reign of the new Galactic Empire. It lacks any sort of beauty, any artistry whatsoever. It is a slab of cold steel, featureless. And as it overtakes our view completely, we see the soft blue of the thrusters at its stern, pushing it through space. And then suddenly, a new class shuttle soars overhead, flanked by 2 V-Wing fighters. They close in on one of the hangars dotting the side of the Purge. There is someone aboard this shuttle. His name is Jace Tyro. Jace, you are sitting aboard this shuttle, your hands in manacles, and sitting across from you is a Purge trooper. They're a new sight here in the galaxy, said to be the last batch of clones out of Camino. The trooper stares at you placidly through the black lenses of its helmet, cradling a rifle. You know there are 4 more Purge troopers on the other side of the door. What's going through your mind as you see through the viewport the black blot of the Purge, this Imperial prison barge?
Jace is looking at this Purge trooper, but he is not seeing him. He is looking through him. He reaches out, his mind blank, but for one word that repeats over and over in his master's voice. Focus. Focus. The word has repeated within his mind for the majority of this journey. And while there have been jibes and attempts to rile him, he has not risen to them. He's desperately trying to maintain composure. But any lapse of concentration within this dark, broken galaxy can mean death. And whether it be the will of the Force or not, Jace knows his life is hanging on the blade of a knife.
You hear the engines of the shuttle begin to idle. There's a distinct sort of sucking sound as you pass through the magnetic field that closes off the hangar to open space beyond. You can tell now that there's atmosphere around the ship. It begins to kind of shudder and shake as the wings fold up and it sets down on the cold steel plating. The Purge Trooper slowly turns its head to look at you. Then they stand and indicate you should do the same.
He rises. He stands at about 6 foot. His mane of dark hair is bedraggled and it falls to his shoulders. And he shakes his head to get a strand of it from his eyes. But again, his master's voice in his mind. Focus. Focus. Focus.
The unsettling feeling that you experienced as you passed through the mag shield that closes off this hangar was accompanied by something else as well that you certainly picked up on being attuned to the Force. A strange feeling unlike anything you've ever felt before. If the Force was white noise, always there, always constant, it was almost like as you entered, someone turned down the volume on that white noise for the very first time. The Force is still there. You can still feel it connecting you, the Purge Trooper, the pilot in the cockpit, the hundreds of people aboard this ship, but it's muted, dampened somehow.
And while the voice in his mind goes louder and louder, focus, focus, it becomes harder to do so. The feeling of being confined, restricted, unattached to the life force that has given Jace his powers since before he can remember. A ice-cold dagger of fear runs through his heart as the Empire's fist closes around him.
The gangway opens with a hiss of steam, and the Purge Trooper pushes their blaster rifle into your back, ushering you down the plank. You see this massive hangar before you, filled with shuttles with V-Wing and ARC-170 fighters. You see white-clad stormtroopers, as they're known now, walking in formation, as well as several dozen Purge Troopers standing at attention, watching you walk down this gangway. You also are drawn to a figure standing on the opposite end of this hangar. They are tall, slim, standing straight as an arrow. They're clad in black robes, though you can tell that there is plasteel armor underneath. A hood is pulled up over their head, and you can see that there is some sort of mask over their face, but it's completely featureless, almost like tinted glass. This strange, sort of yawning black hole of a visage. And though you can't see this figure's eyes or any features whatsoever, they turn and you feel their gaze pierce you. And Jace, you're not sure how, but you know that whatever is cutting you off from the Force right now, this person has something to do with it. And then as quickly as their gaze found you, they turn with a swirl of their cloak and disappear down a corridor. Again, you feel the brunt of this blaster rifle as the Purge Trooper pushes you forward again. You pass by another detainee in manacles. Who does he see, players?
He sees the quell door standing there.
Yeah, I imagine there's this point of not perhaps recognition, but understanding as this person is brought by, and Zur, manacled, I imagine quite thoroughly, will like see this person brought in, and just look from behind his Keldor goggles to look at the newest person brought here, reaching out with some small semblance of feeling, even though it's suppressed, like static on a radio, but some signal still does come through, and he'll reach out with that sense, and he'll understand, and he'll just look at this new person, motionless, not even wanting to acknowledge for fear of being the smallest gesture of the head or tilt of the eyes might alert these watchful Imperial soldiers that there's some hint of understanding between them, and even that is dangerous. So he'll refrain, try to hold himself still, but the feeling beneath, I imagine, is still quite clear.
You're pushed through a door, Jace, and you can see the Kel door that you spotted being pushed through the same door behind you. Together, you file down a long corridor. You pass by cell after cell after cell, and you see others within, all wearing the same drab prison garb. Loose-fitting, featureless, just gray, much like everything else here in this barge. You pass by what looks like a mess hall, an armory, and then you're pushed through the doors of a containment cell filled with several other individuals. As you're pushed through, you hear and the manacles fall off your wrist, clattering to the floor. The Purge trooper picks them up, looks at you, and points over to the benches on the wall where others sit. Zur, your Purge trooper accompanier, does the same thing as your manacles drop off.
There's this sensation that plays out in Zur's mind, but he sees it so clearly of like turning around, pulling the blaster from this trooper's hip, firing, attempting to kill both of them and see if they can get out of here just as quickly as they were brought. But he'll like in a blink banish the thought from his mind, the use of violence, the risk to himself and to the others here. It'd be foolish, and he can like hear his master's voice, so it's like difficult to remember the exact quality of the voice after so much time, telling him that that's not what he should do, and at least for now will heed that warning before just kind of nodding his head the slightest amount and going over to the bench and sitting.
And Jace would do the same. He isn't looking to cause any trouble right now, and the word in his mind changes from focus to patience. Patience. Patience.
There are others in this containment cell with you. The room is not large. It feels cramped. Who do you sit next to, Jace, as you find your spot on the bench?
I think Jace is going to sit next to a young woman.
Korra, I imagine that you have been here for some time wondering what will come next. And it seems now that you've been brought out of your cell for some sort of processing, as they call it. You're in this cell now and have been for some time, and now there are others walking in. This man, Jace, comes to sit beside you.
Korra has had, ever since she first saw the black armored soldiers, this pervading sense of danger. It buzzes at the base of her skull, and she can't shake it. It's quieter here, in spite of everything. And for some reason, there's a new feeling. The stranger sits next to her, and she feels a bit of calm, almost as if someone were telling her to be patient.
I think Jace would offer a slight sideways glance at this individual. And you see the slight curl of a smile, not a confident smile, but a reassuring one at least. You see that tired, world-weary hands begin to rub at where the manacles had been pressed for so long. And you can tell that this individual is steadying his breathing, attempting to maintain calm as well as patience.
Finally, the doors open one last time. Queenway, go ahead and describe yourself as you're pushed into the room by a Purge trooper.
The figure that's pushed into the room is hooded, and they, as in with like a black bag. And as soon as he's pushed in, they remove the bag, revealing a gaunt-faced, sunken-eyed older man with a shallow beard, and his hair worn all around him, again disheveled, not the likes of a Jedi. It's been difficult for him since he arrived here to understand what sort of powers keep the Force at bay, the Force that he has used for so long to read his surroundings in the ways that senses just can't quite match. In his meditations, he's found that he can't breach through this blockage, and he's felt something he hasn't felt in a long time, and that was anger and frustration. But now, in this new place that he's been thrust into, as the hood is pulled over his head, pulled off his head, he feels reminded not to get emotional. There is no emotion. There is peace. He doesn't know where he is, but he can feel those around him. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. He takes a deep breath. He feels subtly a figure in the corner become more at peace. There is no passion. There is serenity, he reminds himself. There's harmony instead of chaos in this place. And for the first time since he got here, he feels completely unafraid of death, because there is no death, there is the Force. And he is shoved forward onto the floor, and he falls on all fours, slowly stands back up, and moves toward a position on the bench where he sits.
All of you are aware of this strange muted quality that has overtaken your connection to the Force. Even you, Korra, who doesn't quite understand what the Force is or your connection to it. There is something off, something different about the way that you feel, the way your perception is working. It's off-putting, to say the least, and as you're sitting there, it grows stronger and stronger. someone is turning down the gain on that white noise, just slowly click, 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 click. And this feeling that you've always had is beginning to leave you. And then the doors open. And standing in the doorway is a figure in black with a face of placid glass. The figure sweeps its gaze over the four of you and points to Quinway. You first, Jedi.
There is no death. There is the Force, he whispers under his breath. And he stands and moves toward the figure.
The figure steps back, and two Purge troopers enter the room, grabbing you roughly by your arms. They push you across the hallway into a small holding cell where sits a table and two chairs bolted to the floor. They toss you roughly into one of the chairs, and then they leave the room, leaving this black-clad figure and you alone. They slowly move to the chair and then sit down. You get the vague sense of a face beyond that glass. Hollows of eyes, a nose, a thin line of a mouth. A voice emanates from behind the glass. You are Quinway Mox, Jedi Master.
If you say so.
I do say so. This information comes to me from a very reliable source. Also, you were carrying a lightsaber when you were detained by Purge troopers. Not many carry those.
You may keep it.
I intend to. You get the sense that she's almost reading something, and you can kind of see on the other side of the glass writing readouts, this sort of spectral light playing across this tinted glass. I am called the third sister of the Imperial Inquisitorius. I am in command of this vessel. You are aboard the Emperor's Purge. I welcome you.
Thank you for your welcome. Are you sure that's where you are?
Excuse me?
Are you sure that's where you are? And are you sure that's who you are? Sometimes I wonder if I might have changed often enough to become someone new entirely.
I was called a different name before. I was known as the Third Sister, but this name was given to me by the Emperor himself. It is my true name. Many of us in the Inquisitorius went by other names. Many of us served in your order. No longer. Your abilities will be of little use to you here aboard the Purge, I'm afraid. I am uniquely suited to my role here. Master Quinway Mox, this can go one of two ways. If you cooperate, answer my questions, and submit to processing, you may yet have use in the new empire. If you do not, the Purge troopers will see to it. Do you understand?
Do I understand that you require information from me?
Do you understand the two options that I am presenting to you?
Yes.
Good. Then we can continue. At what point did you join the Jedi Order?
Long before I was born.
This is a nonsense answer. At what point
Almost
did you join
all
the
are.
Jedi Order?
I was a child. I don't remember much. That will be of little use to you.
Very well, this answer is acceptable. At what point did you leave the Jedi Order?
When I die.
The Jedi Order is no longer an organization. At what point did you leave the Jedi Order?
My answer is unchanged.
Unfortunate. Did you serve in the Clone Wars?
You see Quinway Mox's features become remarkably saddened as he looks downward toward the table. Alongside many friends, yes.
Please, in as much detail as you see fit, tell me what happened at the Vata gas mines of Thrella.
I don't see fit to detail anything about that.
You were present at the battle. Please, in as much detail as you see fit, explain to me what happened at the Vata gas mines of Thrella.
I do not see fit.
Do you remember the two options that I presented to you a few moments ago, Master Quinway Mox?
I remember them very clearly.
Then you should see clearly the path that you are currently headed down, and it is not one that ends with you remaining alive.
There is
Please
no
tell
death.
me what you remember about the Vata gas mines of Thrella.
I remember it was hot. It took me some time to get used to the discomfort, I am ashamed to say.
Do you remember the battle?
That intelligence must not have been very reliable if you have to ask me so many trivial questions.
The Jedi were thorough in their purging of the records.
Almost like they didn't want information to be revealed to you.
Yes, so you see what my role is here. I am attempting to piece together exactly what transpired during the Clone Wars, particularly on more remote battlefields.
Does Quinway feel that maybe this information, that maybe he could express a little bit of information without all of it, or maybe
Yeah.
throw him off?
If you want to try a skill check.
Okay.
To try and basically give her a little, but not a lot. You could attempt a deceive check. You could also try to use sense, but bear in mind that you'll be rolling with fewer dice using the force in her presence.
I think it would come naturally to Quinway to use sense, even if it were difficult. So I have 4 dice in sense.
So please roll with 1 fewer than you normally would.
Okay, and one of those is the
destiny die, yeah.
The destiny die.
Yep.
which I can no longer accidentally call the force die because force is something else.
Yep.
And remind the viewers, not me, what we want to achieve with these rolls.
So after you roll, add it all up and tell me what you get. The destiny die adds like any normal die to the roll, and it only matters if you get a 1 or a 6 on your destiny die.
I got an 11.
11? Okay. What do you say to her?
About the battle? Or just... It was a remarkable construction, the mines. But something so remarkable always bears the potentiality of an opposite reaction. Those infrastructures forever garnered energy, the one true currency. And yet, it was those same infrastructures that were utilized to destroy itself and all with it. I know nothing about what remains. I do believe it was destroyed, though. I don't believe there's a trail to follow. The gas mines did their job before their destruction, and they served their purpose at and beyond it.
As you're speaking, you see flashes of light within the helmet. She nods. This is an acceptable answer.
He laughs, actually. He, like a short, smiling laugh.
She makes to stand. Our conversation is over. We will talk more in the future if you continue to cooperate.
I look forward to meeting who you are at that point.
She says nothing. The Purge troopers enter again, roughly grabbing you and hoisting you up out of the chair and returning you to the detaining cell where the other 3 sit. The third sister, as she called herself, follows behind you, and as she enters the room, she points to the quell door. You next.
Zur will stand, and he'll try to rely on that ever-present feeling, the comfort that the Force gives to calm him in times of distress. But as he reaches for it, he can feel his fingers slipping through it, trying to grab it in its weakened and suppressed state. And as he does so and continues to try, he can feel that bubble that his teacher always warned him so much of as he stands. Fear.
The Purge
and he'll look
troopers.
to the returned other master, almost as if like pleading with his eyes from behind the goggles for any sign of comfort, but probably not finding it.
The Purge troopers grab you, Zur, pulling you out of the room, much like they did with Quinway. And Quinway, you watch this other Force user pulled out of the room. And as you sit and kind of process this conversation that you just had with the Inquisitor, all you can remember is what you sensed when you reached out with the Force, muted though it was. All you felt was fear. Just fear. Zur, you're brought into the room, sat down roughly, and the third sister sits across from you. Please state your name for the record.
Ezra will like look around the room, trying to find like anything to focus his eyes on, but like it's featureless and plain, and she's the same, and there's like nothing to like lock onto or hold onto, and it like unsettles him. So he'll just look at this glassy, featureless face that stares at him. Zur, Daran.
You see your reflection in the glassy face staring back at you. At what point did you join the Jedi Order?
He'll pull his gaze away from the mask, looking at some blank gray corner into nothing. How long has it been since I've lost track of time?
You served in the Clone Wars?
No.
She kind of makes a note of this. Your master, what happened to them?
When I was taken, I was separated from them. They attempted to distance me from the oncoming troopers by shoving me down a bridge. I caught myself lower down and was captured from there. I'm not sure what happened to them after that.
Can you tell me what you remember of Order 66?
It's the only time that, despite everything feeling right, perhaps more right than it's ever been, despite there being peace, comfort, understanding of my place, of the events going on around me, I've always had a strong intuition for it, as I'm sure you'll understand. It's the only time that I've ever felt so wrong. To feel safe and to be so unsafe. That feeling is what I remember more than anything.
The Empire assails for a secure and safe galaxy. The galaxy burned under the Jedi Order. You might yet find the safety and security you seek, should you serve the Empire.
The galaxy still burns. It just burns a different color.
Some fires are necessary. Zerdarin, what do you know of the Imperial Inquisitorius?
Not much, to be completely honest. That you exist to find people who are like me, to get rid of them, or to make them like you.
That is correct. Force users are given a unique gift. The Jedi squandered their gifts, used them to wage war, and put themselves above others. The Inquisitorius seeks to purge the galaxy of these Force users, those who would use their gifts to harm, to hurt, to regress. The Inquisitorius also seeks Force users looking to make a difference. You are young, Sir Darren. You are untested. And yet I sense in you a great connection to the living force. I would ask that you think on what I have said to you. Think on the gifts you have squandered. Perhaps in the Inquisitorius, they might be used for good.
Zer will like think back. He can like see in an instant the memory being trained by his master, working up through being a Padawan and being taken in to the Order of the Jedi Knights mere days before Order 66 happened. The one sense of meaning that he had, always known, and had always been working towards, ripped away in a single snap by these people. And part of him is trying to like suppress the hatred that he has for them and what they did. But he knows that would be against the very teachings that he had taken in for so long. But as she says that his powers could be used for a purpose, for some meaning, he can't help but feel the slightest bit of wonder, of curiosity, of what it might be like to live a life of purpose after having it be so forcefully taken from him. And he doesn't know what that means or what these feelings are. He's never felt them before through all his time in training. And this like muddled mixture of emotions, everything simultaneously turned to max all at the same time in his heart. He doesn't know what to say, but I think that silence says at least something.
You feel something in your mind, Zerdarin. The third sister reaches out with the Force. You don't know what she's looking for. And then as quickly as she connected with you, she's gone once more. The Purge troopers enter, hoisting you up and bringing you back to the detainment cell. Again, the third sister enters. This time, her placid gaze falls on you, Jace. The newcomer next.
I think Jace would be staring up at this individual, and it doesn't take the Force to know that he was going to be picked. You could tell by the way that shining visor just locked onto him. And he stands ready to be strong-armed out of the room, I assume.
Yeah, the Purge troopers grab you, hoist you up, push you roughly out of the door and into the interrogation room where you're sat down, and the third sister sits across from you, placing her gloved hands flat on the table. You are Jace Tyro.
I am.
Jedi Knight.
Yes.
At what point did you join the Jedi Order?
I was barely old enough to remember. Such is the way.
Such as indoctrination. At what point did you leave the Jedi Order?
Your empire saw to that.
It is not my empire. The empire is ours, the galaxy's.
Jace doesn't respond.
Can you explain to me what occurred at the ruins of Viltry City on the planet Cena?
And where did you happen by that name?
I have many sources of intel. Where I heard it is not important, and not pertinent to our conversation.
Well, I think you'll find it is, for there are conflicting accounts as to what occurred there.
My source is very reliable. However, I wish to hear it from you.
Some of the clones of that time called it their finest hour. It was when they ceased to be just innumerable soldiers and became brothers in arms to us. Brothers that would turn their blasters to our backs. 100 clones. They stood against thousands of battle droids, droidicas, swarming them. And yet, with their backs to the wall, they did not fall. The Jedi stood with them. And after many cycles, the battle was the Republic's. When it could still stand and call itself it.
You were there.
I was.
And your Padawan.
The voice inside Jace's mind falters at the knowledge that has been revealed to him just here. The knowledge that they know he had a Padawan. He sees her face for a moment, terrified. A corridor of a battered ship under fire from a Star Destroyer. Raining hell. He fixes a look at that visor and once again does not reply.
Do you need me to repeat the question, Jace Tyro?
My Padawan is gone. I've spent years looking for her. Not a trace.
But she was present at the Battle of Viltry City, correct?
She was.
And there displayed unseen abilities.
She was like a painter, an artist. She could weave thoughts with the Force. A distinctive quality that I have not seen in any other.
And you do not know where she is now?
I do not. And I can assure you, even if I did, I would not tell you.
There's the barest creak as the third sister sits forward slightly. I can assure you, if you knew, I wouldn't need you to tell me.
No. It is in your nature to take. You want to know something. You want to know of the Jedi. And you want to know of my past. When I was a boy training on Coruscant, every cycle on the same night, the power grids would be lowered for routine maintenance checks. Block by block, the lights would go out, and the city would fall into darkness. Well, one of these dark nights, my master, Sto Treskin, he turned to me and he told me to look up. With the city in darkness, I could see the stars more clearly than I ever had. He said, "You see, young one, to know the light, you must see the dark." I thought I saw his meaning then, but now it is clear to me. The galaxy has been eclipsed by the dark side. And now when I see the light, I know it is in my soul. The Force is with me, and no empire can take that from me.
You should know, Jace Tyro, when you came on board. I have already taken the Force from you. I can quiet it in your mind, shut it off completely if I wish. You have no idea what I am capable of. I do believe you have given me everything that you know, but this will not be our last conversation. I have reason to believe your Padawan is alive, and I have reason to believe that she would be an asset to the Empire. We will speak again. The Purge troopers come in, hoist you out of the chair, throw you back into the detainment cell. She enters one last time. She nods to you, Korra. This one.
Okay, now wait. I've tried to explain, not a Jedi. Yeah?
It does not matter.
Of course it dodging matters.
The Purge troopers come forward, hoisting you up roughly.
Fine.
And pushing you into the interrogation room. She sits like she has with the other three. Before we begin, I am aware you are not a Jedi, nor are you affiliated with the former Jedi Order. You are, however, attuned to the energy force known as the Force. I have reason to believe you could be an asset to the Empire.
And I have reason to believe you're mistaken.
I am not mistaken.
Yeah, you are.
You have always felt it. Always been aware of it, even if you weren't consciously so. A voice, a feeling, an instinct, something not many have.
Everyone has instincts, gut feeling.
Not everyone escapes death as many times as you have, Korra Bask.
That's because not everyone's as stupid as I am to get there in the first place, but that's another story.
Allow me to illustrate what I mean with an example. Can you please tell me what happened at Vrasha Station?
Russia Station. Oh. Okay, so now that one was weird. Okay, maybe. I mean, come on, surely you can tell like when someone's looking for you, right? Like everyone gets that little buzzy
I
thing.
I am also a Force user.
Okay, maybe you were a bad example. No, that wasn't the same as what happened on Tolarian 8, though.
It was.
No, definitely a different feeling.
A different feeling, the same source. You are attuned to the Force, Korra. Untrained, unindoctrinated by the Jedi.
Great.
You've used this Force to your advantage in your life, used it to escape danger, to get what you want, to accomplish things others can only dream of.
Okay, but back to that part where I'm not affiliated with the Jedi. That's good. I'm free to go.
It is good that you are unaffiliated with the Jedi. It makes your chances of surviving processing that much higher. However, under Imperial law, you are subject to the whims of the Inquisitorius as someone who has displayed abilities.
I've displayed nothing. You've talked about having rumors, and I have a gut instinct.
When you came aboard, did you feel different?
Maybe.
I did that. I quieted the Force within you, Korra. I could not do that to just anyone. Your connection to the Force is something I am capable of manipulating.
Well, that doesn't seem very nice.
Nice has nothing to do with it. My abilities are a boon to the Empire. Yours could be as well. Korra, it has been made clear to me that you owe a considerable number of credits to several different parties across the Outer Rim.
Ooh.
Should you join the Inquisitorius, not only would those debts be forgiven, but those who have hunted you your entire life would be punished.
Punished, you say?
Yes.
All the
They're
debts?
criminals. Scum. They have no place in the empire that we are building. Should you submit to processing, lend your abilities to the Inquisitorius, you could have a hand in that empire. Your debts would be washed away. You could build a new life.
Could we negotiate a little more on the debt forgiveness new light and a little less on the empire building?
They are one and the same.
You
cannot have one without the other.
Gosh.
I must make it clear to you, Korra, that there is no situation, no hypothetical scenario in which you walk away from this. You must either submit or be subject to the Purge troopers.
I'll think it over.
Do. You have time to spare. She makes to stand, and the Purge troopers come in. As they're taking you out, she says, "A moment." The Jedi, they may try to speak to you. You must know. They are liars, thieves, warmongers.
I mean, they're wizards, but I don't know about the rest.
Proceed with caution with them. The door closes. You're pushed back into the holding cell. One Purge trooper remains behind. The others leave. And the four of you are left to your own devices. It's quiet in the room.
Did you say the one of the Purge troopers remained in the room, Matt?
Yeah, one of them is standing by the door, just sort of silently standing guard.
I think Jace, with a careful look at the Purge trooper, his eyes are going to drift around the room. Is it just us in here, or are there others too?
Just you four.
Okay. So Jace's gaze is going to fall upon the Kel door. Maybe there is a fleeting memory that perhaps he has seen this Jedi once before. There aren't many of his kind within the Order. And despite the dampening of the Force, he is going to reach out and he is going to attempt to speak with this Keldor using the power of the Force. So I don't know if I need to roll for that at the moment, Matt, or...
Why don't you give me a sense roll with one fewer die than you would normally roll?
Yeah. So I roll those two, and in addition, I roll the Destiny, which is just separate from it, right?
So the Destiny is part of the roll. It is one
Part of the roll.
One of your dice must be the Destiny die.
Okay, gotcha.
Is there any sort of help in this system? Because Zer would definitely be feeling with the Force, like reaching for anything.
There is.
I don't know if that's like in the rules.
Yeah, basically, how it works is you can add a die for every person that's helping you do something. So if you feel him sort of reaching out, Zer, and you're able to kind of bridge that gap, then you can make up for the dampening that is happening, and he can add that die back in.
Yeah, I definitely would do that. He would be reaching for anything, I think, at this stage.
Perfect. So I'm going to roll. Okay, so that is going to be 8 in total, but my Destiny die is a 6.
Wonderful. So what that means is you have two options. You can either have the Destiny die explode, meaning you can count that 6 and then roll it again and add more, or you can have some sort of benefit happen in the scene, something that would be advantageous to you or your allies.
I think it would be nice to have that benefit happen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fairly crucial at this point. So I think as Jace reaches out, it's like he senses the connection that Zer is attempting to make. And without any sign whatsoever, he is able to make a subtle connection with the Force. And he sends a simple message, speaking, echoing through the life force. He says, "We're going to have to act quickly. While patience is key, the longer we wait, the more danger, or the more dangerous this will become."
Yeah, and Zer will feel those words pressed into his mind against his will, but the feeling is like desperately needed. And he'll like claw at the sensation when he first feels it, back trying to hold on to it. And as he feels those words kind of cross across his own mind, he'll attempt to reply back to them. I don't know what to do. but if I can get help, then I can help.
The Force is being affected. You feel it too. We must work together and create a bridge between our minds. And sort of like with a almost imperceptible glance, he sort of shifts his gaze over to the older Jedi. So that basically means hopefully we can add some dice together, helping each other to strengthen this connection with with
Zur
Master
will get the
Mox.
meaning, and then will, feeling the connection to Jace, try to grab at that feeling, that sensation, that connection, the Force tying everybody together, and will attempt to likewise reach out to the Jedi Master.
And I would say that Mox, being as attuned to the Force as you are, you may have even picked up on almost like it it sounds like someone talking through the wall of an apartment. Like you just get the sense that there's like these kind of echoes kind of reverberating through the Force, though you can't sort of pick up on what they're saying.
I think I also pick up, I want to piggyback on reverberations. I feel like I hear words that are more memories than things actually being thought currently or being spoken. The words, some fires are necessary, liars, thieves, warmongers, focus, patience. And that tells me that that I am more attuned to the Force. And I open my eyes from meditation. I look, and now is it assumed that I can maybe speak with Jace or Zur?
Yeah, I'll allow you guys to sort of extend that link over to Mox.
He would look at Zur and think and say, through the mind bridge, some fires are necessary. A torch, perhaps. And he will nod his head to Zur and then to Jace, and then pay a glance over to Korra inquisitively to see what she's up to.
You know, when you see people who've been friends for a long time and they can kind of communicate without words, she's like kind of standing there with her arms crossed and like watching this very evident conversation play out. And, like,
and there's like this like simmering tension in the room as everyone's kind of looking like very like knowingly at each other, and you feel like you're just like missing out on something.
Yeah, she's like, I feel like I should know what's going on. And so Kinway, she feels your gaze and she locks eyes with you, and you just see the question on her face, like, what is happening?
She's asked that question many times during her life without fully understanding what she is capable of or what has made contact with her without ever asking her permission. Does she hear that?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you've extended the link to her, then yeah, she can.
Okay. I imagine it's more of a feeling. Almost as if you thought it first, Korra, like you realize I've asked that question a lot. Almost like it's an insight.
Yeah, she hears it first in her own mind as her own voice. And then it grows deeper with a timbre that's not her own. And she hears your voice in her head. And she looks at you and her eyes go huge.
Don't listen. We are just liars, thieves, and warmongers.
You see her mouth move. No sound comes out, but almost a whisper in your head. Can I hear you?
Quinn turns to Jason Zur for the answer.
Again, a small smile from Jace. Our minds are now one. It is the only way we are to survive this.
Oh.
Sensation. It's more of a continuation than a new experience, I think you'll find. He's like saying that as if he's telling it to himself just as much as to you. That these things, it's like you've felt something forever without knowing its name, and then suddenly you become aware of what it's called, and that name lets you see it differently. It lets you understand it in a different way. That it's not a subconscious instinct bubbling up, but a thing that can be moved, played with, used as a tool, perhaps more. That's all this is. The same thing you've always felt, but more.
Yeah, except for the voices in my head thing, that's definitely new.
Is it? Can you really be sure?
Oh, no. No. Yes. What's the plan?
Lesson 1, be mindful.
I didn't ask for
Jace.
lessons, I asked for the plan.
Jace gives a look towards the Purge trooper. Is the Purge trooper seemingly unaware of this? Hopefully so, Matt.
As of yet, yes, unaware, staring placidly ahead through the visor of his helm. You see that he is carrying a blaster rifle. It looks like like an E11, but with an extended stock on it. And on his belt, he has what looks like a fold-out force pike, sort of this melee weapon that becomes wreathed in energy when he would unfurl it, and that's sort of holstered at his side.
Quinway might take a step towards the Purge trooper.
As you do so, the rifle snaps up in like an instant, and the Purge trooper is staring down the sight through the visor. Sit down, Jedi.
Fear is not what overwhelms Quinway, but enlightenment from another one of his companions. He gives a very brief glance to Jace Tyro and backs away and sits down and resumes meditation.
Knowing now that the bridge between our minds has been forged, cemented, feeling their combined strength, Jace is going to look towards the Purge trooper and say, "Soldier, you will lower your weapon." As he attempts to use all of our combined powers. This is going to be all of us. I imagine all of us are working together to try and push a Jedi mind trick through to this guy, because I imagine as a Purge trooper, he's fairly resistant to this kind of thing.
So, you're attempting a Jedi mind trick. That's going to be a sense check.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that you'll be able to add 2 dice to that check as Korra, though adding her abilities to the link, is not yet trained enough to help with a Jedi mind trick. So you'll be reducing by 1 die due to the force dampening, increasing by 2. So altogether, you're going to add 1 die to your roll.
Okay.
And I'm
How many dice is that, Rob?
An opposed check.
With the extra, that's going to be 4.
Nice.
So that 17.
I will lower my weapon.
Jace is then going to glance at Kunwei.
In fact, I don't think you need either of those weapons at all.
In fact, I don't think I need either of these weapons at all. He sets the blaster rifle down on the floor and then reaches and takes the force pike and also sets it on the floor. And then stands there stoically.
Korra's mouth is hanging open.
What's the coup de grace, Zur?
Yeah, Zur will try his best to calm. He can like feel this buzz of like anxiety coursing through him, that small bit of fear that's never quite left, like flaring up again at this moment of intensity. And he'll just look at this person and feeding off the same trick that Jace and this Jedi Master Mox have already levered against him. He'll just look, and in the most authoritative voice he can muster, however much that may be, he'll just say, "You will open this door, and we will walk out."
There's a pause. The trooper looks at you, Zur. I will open this door and walk out. He turns and he leaves with the door open behind him. I think that's a good spot to take a quick break. So thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. This has been a blast so far. Because I didn't do my usual preamble, I'll let everyone introduce themselves here before we take a break, and also tell you that the system that we're playing is called HyperspaceD6. It is my personal hack of the classic West End games, Star Wars, the role-playing game, the old D6 system that I grew up playing. It is sort of my love letter to that system. It's updated, streamlined, cuts out a lot of the extra rolls and stuff like that. Barker helped me with a bunch of stuff on this, the lightsaber duel rules, the starfighter combat. So it's good stuff. If you want to check it out, there's a link down in the description. It's totally free, and it's Creative Commons. You can do whatever you want with it. Hack it yourself if you so choose. So definitely check that out. I'm going to toss it over to these guys to introduce themselves, and then we'll take a quick fiver and come back and continue the session. Let's go ahead and go clockwise here and start with you, Rob.
Hello, my name is Rob. I am from the channel Performance Check, and I am absolutely adoring this game so far. I particularly love that we each have our particular levels of stoicism, and that is accented beautifully by Taylor's wonderful light relief, I have to say. Matt, this system, although we've only done a few die rolls and looking over it, briefly when making a character, I can already tell that this is the system to play Star Wars with.
Wow.
No, honestly, I never actually got to play the D6 Star Wars game. I started with the D20 stuff, and this gives perfect allowance for hand wavy with the Force.
Yes.
And also some really, really slick rules in terms of using skills and the like. So I'm very, very excited about it. And I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for that means a lot, having it be the system. I mean, that is a mighty fine praise coming from you, Mr. Coletta. So thank you. Barker, go ahead, man.
My name is Barker. I I personally hate the system. I think it's especially the duel and starfighter rules. I'm not too big on those. No. Actually, I've played every Star Wars system. I think West End Games is probably the least, so I don't have much to compare it to. But I second what Rob said. Every time I play a game in this system, I think to myself, this is the best Star Wars game I've ever been in, and I'm already there. It's been like a lifelong dream to play a Jedi, and I mean like a Jedi, just as Jedi as you can possibly be, just Jedi, whatever. His name is, I thought about making it Jedi, but Jedi Mox. What's the original name of the Jedi? Were the Jedi? It's interesting. Fun fact for everybody. But this is the best Star Wars game I've played in. So thanks, Matt, for running it.
Absolutely. Thanks for playing. And also, fun fact, every Star Wars game I've run on this channel, Barker has played in. I just realized that.
And you know what? I believe that has to be the case forever.
Yeah. No, I think that has to continue. Absolutely.
Dope.
All right. Jeff, go ahead, man.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff. I also have a channel. It's called Encounter Balance that I do stuff on very occasionally. But yeah, I'll just echo the sentiment that everybody else has already put forward and then say that yes, despite that being 1.5 hours into session one, I'll even go past that. 5 minutes into session one, I was like, this is the best Star Wars game I've ever played in. Just like right from intro, right from the first character introduction of Rob and I was just like, this is it. Like just this forever, please. So yeah, it's already been fantastic. That third sister is like absolutely chilling in a perfect way. Just everything about this has been already incredibly fun. The system's great. And yeah, can't wait for more.
Awesome. All right, Taylor, go ahead.
I'm Taylor. I've had the pleasure of playing Star Wars with this system before, in a slightly different iteration of it. I think we were still calling them Force Die instead of Destiny Die, which was a source of confusion, but now that's fixed.
That game that you played in is the reason why it's called the Destiny Die now.
Because we had no clue what we were doing with everything. But now that's all fixed, and I really have liked the system in the previous games, and I like it in this one. I think this is just a ton of fun. And I think Star Wars has to have a certain amount of sass and people calling each other bantha fodder, and you guys are all too serious, so someone's got to do it.
Yeah, actually, Taylor, you taught me dosh. I didn't realize that was a Star Wars expletive until you started using it, and I just Googled it and learned something about Star Wars.
That's because you're not on my level and you don't have a half screen that's Star Wars slang.
Clearly.
You need to get on that Wikipedia, bro.
For real.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stick with us. We will be right back for more Jedi goodness. We're going to see these intrepid Force users attempt to escape from the Purge. So definitely stick with us. I'm going to real quick make a splash screen. I mean, no, I'm not. I had this ready to go. I definitely had it ready to go. Once just... Alright, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute the mics now. We will be right back. Okay, we're back. Thanks everyone for sticking around. I just like scarfed my dinner and it was so spicy and it was a mistake. So, the door to the cell stands open. You hear the boot falls of the Purge Trooper disappear down the hallway. What do you do?
We'll take everything in Zur's focus to like stop his hands from shaking at the sight of this Purge Trooper walking out, having successfully used the Force to turn him away from us. There was a moment there where he was sure that it wasn't going to work. And without even thinking, almost instinctively, he'll like kneel down and like pick up the unactivated Force pike and just kind of like look it over in his hand and like stand up and then just kind of like you can't see his eyes behind the Keldor goggles, but you can feel them just like wide-eyed looking at the two older, more experienced Jedi as if like begging for instruction. He doesn't know what to do now.
Well, Quinn Wei is not looking at you or Jace. Quinn Wei is looking at Korra and says, trust in your feelings. What does your intuition tell you?
Can I do that? Damn, that's cool.
Where should we go?
Off this rock. Probably not the person you want to ask for a safe place.
When I was taken by the troopers, my lightsaber and my possessions were taken from me. I assume you are all the same.
Dip, but minus the lightsaber.
Our priority is to get off this ship. But we have created a connection that is an advantage that we have over the Empire. We will be able to commune, at least within this distance. I can feel the Force being dampened by that sister, the third sister of the Inquisition. We must be careful.
Do we have any memory of where our equipment was put?
Or which way's out?
So,
Or Korra will sense, lead us out. No.
Jace and Zur were just led into the room from the hangar. Both of you passed a lockup where you could see a bunch of gear being stored inside sort of Durasteel crates. We all know what they look like. The Star Wars crates with the circle and the hex thing going off. Yeah, a bunch of those in a room guarded by a stormtrooper that you can only assume is the lockup where your stuff is stored.
I probably won't keep our lightsabers here for long. It's not something they'll want just lying around. If we want to get them back, we'll need to go soon. And Zur will look over to Korra and just say, pardon the assumption, but I figure, and he'll point at the blaster, that out of any of us, you can shoot that best.
I mean, I'll sure take it.
So, Korra, that's a blaster rifle. So it's a 6D weapon.
Oh, yeah, Korra like picks it up and kind of hefts it. She goes, oh, yeah.
Isn't lightsaber 6D as well?
Yep.
So you kind of have a lightsaber. Think about it. Except yours costs money.
It does, yeah. And she also can't block blaster bolts with it, but yeah. So you have the blaster rifle, and Zura, you picked up the force pike. The hallway outside the cell that you guys are in is, for now, empty. You don't imagine it'll stay that way for long.
We must move quickly, but we need to think 10 steps ahead of our captors. How will we escape? Will we acquire a ship? We must discover if this ship has a tractor beam. There's no use getting in one if we're just going to be pulled straight back in by the Empire. If so, we'll need to deactivate it.
Or jump to hyperspace really fast.
We will have to evade their detection to enable that, but certainly that is the best plan we have, it would seem. I'm Jace Tyro.
Korra.
Sir Daran.
Quinn Wei.
A pleasure.
A
This
coincidence.
won't go unnoticed for long, and I'll kind of motion at the open door.
Quinway notes towards your weapon in your hand, Zur. After you.
You'll see the slightest pang of regret go across Zur's face as he realizes that with the weapon in hand, he'll have to be the person who steps forward first. But we'll wipe that away, whether it's through deception or actual bravery. You're not sure. But perhaps you can feel a mixture of both with the Force. And he'll take a step out the door, immediately scanning across and waiting for the others to follow.
The four of you leave the cell. Again, the corridor beyond, empty for now, though all of you can hear and maybe even sense that there will soon be stormtroopers passing by on patrol. Jace and Zor, you both know where the lockup is to the right, down the corridor a ways, if you want to head in that direction.
I think while perhaps only familiar in passing or maybe not at all, there is some things that just fall into place when working with other Jedi. It's almost like a psychic SWAT team. They know how to move. They know which corners to move against, which shadows to slink into. So yeah, I think we can all do our best to stealthily make our way in that direction.
You do so, moving down the corridor quickly but carefully. You, a few times, have to duck into an alcove as a pair of stormtroopers pass by, speaking to one another in their static-laced voices within the ventilators of the helmets. Speaking of things, new people being brought on board, new ships arriving. One of them mentions a visit from one Lord Vader, scheduled for the following week. Eventually, you find yourselves near where the lockup is, and you can see it off to the left. The door is closed, sealed. And as you come around the corner, Korra, you experience one of your pangs. A indescribable fear, and you know that you need to get out of sight quickly.
Yeah, Korra, you feel that emanate from her, and that instinct of hide. More than a word, it's a feeling. And she looks kind of wide-eyed.
There's an alcove nearby that you're able to duck into. What I'm going to need from all of you, however, is a control check. This is one of the skills listed under the Force. Control is what you roll to manipulate the Force within yourself. It allows Jedi to do miraculous things like survive in the vacuum of space, but it also allows you to cloak your presence from others. So please, everyone, test control.
And it's still minus the 1 die.
Minus the 1 die, correct.
So what do we do if we have 0?
Oh no.
So do you
Should still have force.
Yeah, you still have the force, so you would just roll your force without any bonuses from control.
Oh, she only has 1 die.
No, I only have...
So I see. You can't be reduced down to less than 1, so you're good. You literally can't be any worse at the force, don't worry.
You literally the bottom of the barrel, so it's fine.
Oh. Everything's riding on you, Rob. What'd you roll?
Got an 11.
The third sister rounds the corner, flanked by a pair of Purge troopers. They pass the alcove and she stops for a second. She scans the hallway and then continues walking. You hear her say to the Purge troopers, "Take Mox and Tyro. They are of no further use to me. The other 2 will be returned to their cells." They disappear around the corner, and the 4 of you ease out a breath.
We must hurry.
It's nice to feel wanted.
Azur will realize that he has like a death grip on this pike in his hand, ready. He didn't even realize how hard that he had like grasped it, ready in fear in case they were noticed. And he'll loosen his grip and try to like loosen the tension in his shoulder from gripping it so tightly before, just kind of like breathing out.
The door to the lockup is sealed. You can see on the other side, through the viewport, the white plasteel of a stormtrooper standing with its back to the door.
I'll handle him. Matt, if I wanted to create some sort of sound or false commotion in the distance, maybe behind a doorway or through a tunnel or something that would distract him to check it out, would that be control or alter?
That would be alter.
Phew, I'll put the dice in the right skill. Okay. That's minus 1 die.
Correct.
So I would have 3 instead of 4. I'm wondering if I can spend a force point to double dice this action.
If you want to, you can.
I would like to do that.
Okay.
Listen, I can't be embarrassed. I can't embarrass myself in front of these younglings.
So
yes,
weird mechanics corner case that I just noticed. Does the -1 happen before or after the double?
That's a good question. I will say that it happens before the doubling. Because the doubling is whatever dice you're rolling in the pool, and the dice gets removed from the pool first, I would say.
Make a note of that.
Yep, adding it to the rules right now.
There are a lot of Jeff Doties out there who are going to read those rules. So, hey.
Thank God.
I play too much Magic the Gathering for this.
Thank God for the dirties.
Yes.
Yep. Agreed.
With his questions.
And it should be noted that character points can be saved and they roll over. Force points do not. So nothing to gain from holding on to your force points.
And how many of those do we have?
You have a number of force points equal to your force attribute. So you have 1 force point, Taylor.
Wait, when do we replenish the force?
Every session.
Cool. All right. That excites me. All right, here we go. 4, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 total. That is not as good as I wanted it to be. I'm very happy I doubled it up.
Still a great roll. Go ahead and describe what what do you create using the Force? And because you used a Force point, that means that you're drawing upon like your innermost power. So feel free to get crazy with it.
Oh man, I was just gonna be like, you hear a blaster bolt in the distance. No, okay,
You
hold
hear
on.
a crate dragon. I got Rob really good with that one.
I pull in all the force I can around me, and that includes those people who are standing near me. Korra's confusion, Zur's courage in the face of fear. There's something about Jace he can't quite grasp on, but he looks into the distance, and I imagine that this lockup is not just like one section. It's like maybe a bunch of different sort of crates and little lockers and stuff like that, but we know where our stuff is. It's in the big kahuna box. And you know what, I'm gonna do it. You hear a static infused stormtrooper voice just reverberate from down the hall that says, "Hey, can you give me a hand with this?" Hey, can you give me a hand with this? And it just yells, and when he looks, when this trooper looks down the way, again it will say, "Yeah, you."
Huh? Stormtrooper kind of like cranes down the hallway, looks to the door, looks down the corridor. Oh, 1 second. And then he walks over. The door is now unguarded.
Feast your eyes, Padawans. No, that's not what I said. I will allow them to go first, though.
Yeah, Zur will approach towards this door. Does it seem to be locked or sealed?
It is locked.
From this side?
Yes.
Yeah, Zur will just kind of like look back. The guard's out of the way, but there's still the door.
Is there any chance I can unlock it?
Do you happen to be good with computers, Korra?
Maybe.
Then yes.
Her job is literally infiltrator.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I'm gonna do the
Be
thing
the
where I
Benicio
use...
del Toro that this party needs.
I want to use my force die and my 1 force die and double my dice on this.
Okay, great.
Do I lose any
that's
dice?
Awesome. You're drawing upon the force to crack open the door.
Yeah. Do I lose any dice for this roll?
Sorry, say again.
Do I lose any dice for this roll?
No, because technically you're not using a force ability to do this, so no, you don't.
I don't have enough D6s. Oh, my force one is a 6.
Ooh.
12. Oh, math. 21.
Damn. Yeah, you cracked this door in record time. What do you want to do with that 6 on your destiny die?
What are my options?
Sky's the limit. You're accessing a security terminal. It could be that you learn something else about the ship. It could be that you are able to access like security protocols across the ship. Anything. Maybe
an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe. It could even just be like as simple as like the fact that like I'm sure they have like logs for when and how these doors get open. Maybe she can bypass it so efficiently that it won't show like on the record that we opened this door at all.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, you basically like leave no trace.
Would I be able to basically figure out that there's like the pattern of like rotating door codes. And so whatever doors we come across next, it's one of 5.
Yeah. That's great. So you slice into this security terminal, and not only do you crack it open, but you work your way backwards through the security protocol and find the rotating roster of passcodes, taking note of all of them so that you can attempt to utilize them later on. That's great. Good job, Korra. The door opens up. You see the lockup in front of you.
Korra like waves her hand. Jedi men?
Jace didn't expect the door to open anywhere near as quick as that, so he sort of just stands looking at, the void where the door used to be as they into the walls, and gives a smile and steps through. As with any Jedi, a lightsaber houses a crystal that the Jedi spends much of his life focusing upon and tuning it with himself. So hopefully that will mean if he reaches out, perhaps he will be able to sense where his fabled blade rests.
Mm-hmm. Anyone attempting to find their lightsaber in the lockup can roll sense to do so.
-1 die.
-1 die.
I'm never going to stop asking.
Not looking forward to
it. There's not motivation to get off this ship. It's to roll your full force dice.
Yeah. We've done it.
Great. All 3 of the Jedi, as they enter the lockup, you all take a moment focusing, and even through the muddled haze of the dampened force, you're able to sense the familiar frequency of the crystal housed within your lightsaber. Each of you find the crate storing your belongings. You all have your lightsabers. Describe to me the moment as you reclaim a piece of your Jedi history.
As Quinway moves towards his small box, he passes Korra and says, just referring to the quick unlocking of the hatch, all the might of the Jedi Order is no match for the intuition of an apprentice. And he moves directly towards the crate, puts his hands upon it, smiles, and then saddens somehow. He opens it, very small box. There's a comlink on the right, and some sort of small cube next to it. He takes both. All that remains left in this small crate is a lightsaber hilt, silver at its bottom, black at the apex where the blade would come out. Mandalorian iron, rare metal, one that most game masters don't allow you to have as a new character, but that I just decided I had. One of the few metals that a lightsaber cannot cut through, which is why he chose it for its safety purposes. It is stable. And he clips it onto his belt and turns toward the others.
Will likewise walk into the room I imagine it's this like very eerie sight for Korra, not being used to working with Jedi, where we just all immediately walk to the exact crate that our stuff is in without checking any of them, and we'll like walk up, pull a crate off, open it, and just give like a satisfied nod of just like, "Yep, this is the one." And similarly, we'll see a comlink, a med pack, and a couple other small implements, a bit of small pieces of armor, which he'll begin like strapping under his clothes, before then at the very bottom of the box seeing the lightsaber hilt of his own. Very plain, nearly featureless, as if it hadn't had the time to be personalized to his own taste yet, as if there was still a blank canvas that would yet be modified some day down the line. But he will take it out himself, likewise clipping it to his own gear before turning to the other Jedi with a nod.
In the background of Zur's shot, you see like a Korra opening one box. No, like going through box after box.
The one lightsaber that remains there is has a brass inlay with a black trim and grip. It is scorched across one side, a souvenir from the Clone Wars. Upon the bottom of the hilt, there is a sort of like a small kind of braid that hangs off the bottom, and a very simple carving on the side of it as well that depicts a breeze through a valley. And he rests his hand upon it and is whole again.
As the Jedi are reunited with their weapons, reclaiming lost pieces of themselves, the stillness is broken. As the klaxons begin blaring. Clearly, the Purge troopers, along with the third sister, have found your containment cell empty. What did the four of you do?
Has Korra, have you found your stuff yet?
Yeah, I think in the background of Jace's shot, Korra was like finally picking up her stuff, and she's got this data pad, and she's trying to link into the computers to see if she can scroll through and find where the nearest ship, something they can get off this thing. And then the alarm blares.
Jace crosses the room and says, Korra, how much time will you need to find out, one, if there's a ship we can fly out of here, and two, if there's going to be anything to stop us?
Less time.
Tractor beam.
Less time. She like keeps going on her data pad. How do I find out if there's a ship, man? How much time do I need?
If you want to give me another computer's check, that will determine how much time you need. It's not a matter of if you can do it, it's a matter of how long it's going to take.
You should also take the time to map out the escape pods. Quinway will chuck in there. It's a ship, however lame. He doesn't.
I rolled a 1 on my...
On your force die?
Force die, yes.
Okay. Noted.
Which is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I did get 13 total.
So, as you slice into the computer systems, you use one of the codes that you got from the door earlier. You're able to slice in quickly. You access the manifest of the Purge, finding which ships are coming and going, which hangar is closest, and if there are any tractor beams or other things that are going to prevent you from leaving. You imagine that this entire process is going to take you probably about a minute and a half at most.
She looks up to Jace. 2 minutes.
Well, guess that we came here. Where else would we go? And I'll kind of gesture down to the lightsabers. We'll need to be ready, perhaps sooner than that.
The one that you rolled on that destiny die, Korra, there's a blip on your data pad, and you realize that though you have infiltrated the system, they are also aware of you and have been able to trace where the infiltration is coming from. You know you only have a matter of seconds before Purge troopers come pouring through that door.
Is there another door out of this room?
There is not.
Oh.
There is, however, an air vent.
Yeah, she hits a button and the door slides shut. We gotta go. They're coming. They know we're here. Can I lock that door?
You can. You do so. Probably buying you another 20, 30 seconds.
She'll gesture up. Let's go. Who's first? Come on.
Or we'll reach out a hand and just like pull, assuming it's not like bolted, just use the force to yank the panel from the ceiling from where they stand before going to like leap up into it.
Oh, that's convenient.
Korra, will you be able to bring up some kind of display, help us navigate the vents?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Totally. I totally can do that. As you're moving towards the vent, Korra, you feel another tickle at the edge of your senses. Something yanking your attention to your left, and you look, and there's a small steel box sitting on the shelf to your left. And there's something drawing you to it.
Korra's rational infiltrator part of her mind tells her, find the schematics, find the floor plan, get out. But she has learned never to ignore that little intuition, that feeling. It's always steered her correct. And so she goes to the box and tucks it under her arm and follows the others to the vent.
You grab the box. It has a solid weight to it, but you're able to tuck it away safely. And the four of you clamber into the vent, which is incredibly cramped and requires all of you to crawl as you enter.
Can I quick share a moment with Jace?
Yeah.
I imagine that we file in one by one to the vent, and Jace is the one who reaches down and helps me up into the vent. And in that moment, it occurs to Quinway what that feeling was earlier, that he couldn't quite place about this Jedi. And once he gets up, he says softly, "Someone lost you."
Everyone lost someone, Master.
They'll find you.
Inside the vent, it's dark, it's cramped, and as you crawl through, you hear behind you the distinct sound of stormtroopers using cutters to get through the door of the lockup, hoping that they'll find you inside. You move through the vents in Korra, as you're crawling, half clicking on your data pad, you start to drum up the intel that you're looking for. The nearest hangar is on the other side of this vent. You can get to it from here. There are V-Wing fighters, Arc 170 fighters, and a pair of new class attack shuttles. Of the ships listed, the V-Wings are single pilot craft, the Arc 170s hold 2, and the attack shuttles have enough room for 12 inside.
Yeah, Korra is she's got her data pad. It's got almost a Velcro like strap hooked to her forearm for conditions such as this. So she's army crawling with the pad in front of her, half scrolling as she goes. Looks like we're taking a shuttle off this, and we might want to prevent them from following us. They've got some speedy things with guns.
You're also pleased to find, Korra, that though it is a decent-sized ship, the Purge is not a large enough craft to have a tractor beam installed.
Yeah. Jace, in your head, you can almost feel her sigh of relief. If you were closer, it would like blow your hair. No tractor beam. Worried for nothing. Thank you very much.
The mind bridge has been able to convey emotion and thus mean that we feel those emotions at the same time. And Jace just simply looks to you, and you sense back, I've been burned once by tractor beams. He learned his lesson a long time ago.
At the height of that relief, learning about the lack of tractor beams, Korra, you also learn that with the signaling of the klaxons, the ship has gone into lockdown and the airlocks have closed on the hangar and will need to be manually opened before you can escape on any ships.
Who pilots?
Uh-oh.
Seriously?
I was hoping you were. What kind of Star Wars group doesn't have a pilot? Usually there's 3 out of the 4 are like, no,
There's
I'm the
always, without
One with-
fail, a
with
conversation.
all Jedi,
Who's the
yeah.
pilot? Didn't happen.
Mhm.
Oh man.
I could have sworn that Korra was going to be the pilot. I mean, with Jedi, we can work it out, right?
Does anyone
I got a
have,
couple force points.
Does anyone have semi-decent mechanical? Okay. Okay.
I got literal 1.
All right.
So maybe with our minds together, we can.
Help
imagine
action.
that maybe Mox and Korra could together stumble their way through piloting an attack shuttle out of here.
It's a shuttle, so there will be like a co-pilot sort of
there's
position in the cockpit,
two
right?
seats
Yeah.
in the cockpit. Yep.
Yeah. That's decided.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she's like, okay, I'm going to try and override the airlock. One of you get it started.
I'm sorry. Just was that get the ship started? Like,
Yes.
or get the. Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I was just making sure I didn't miss something. Like, hold up. That will be me.
Great.
I'll keep watch, see what progress they're making on getting in.
I'm going to see if there's any turbo lasers that are automatically primed to stop anything escaping.
She gives you a funny look.
It's all very good flying out of here, but if we're blasted out of the sky within moments of leaving...
You reach the end of the vent and see on the other side of the grate the hangar. The same hangar that you arrived in, Jace, and the one where you saw Jace for the first time, Zur, you see a pair of those new class shuttles, as well as several V-Wings and ARC 170s. And indeed, where once was open space sealed with a magnetic field, there are now massive steel doors that have clapped shut, sealing off the hangar from the outside. You also see that there are quite a number of stormtroopers milling around the hangar, blasters at the ready. And again, the klaxons overhead. It's just a constant at this point.
Sir will motion down to the lightsaber that hangs at his belt, grabbing it from it. I'll distract them. You get the ship moving.
I'll stand with you.
That will be quick.
Quick would be preferable. He takes the lightsaber from his belt, but doesn't activate it yet.
So
And with that, since I think Zur had been in the front, he'll kick at the vent to drop down. Sorry, go ahead.
The vent opens. It sounds like Zur, Jace, you two are going to be crowd control. Korra, you're going to be trying to get that airlock open. And Mox, you're going to commandeer one of the attack shuttles. So, let's go ahead and roll for initiative. So, rolling for initiative, we're going to go ahead and do perception. Everyone make a perception check.
Okay, just straight perception.
Straight perception.
Do we need our destiny die? Does it matter?
Yes. That will actually determine if you have any sort of like big advantages going into the combat.
So basically we include the destiny die on every roll.
Every roll except for damage, correct.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, you guys.
I have these Cybermen Doctor Who dice, and for a moment I thought the Cyberman was the 1, and that would have made it 4 ones. But it's a 6. Whew. So it could be worse.
Oh my gosh.
How am I just finding out now that you have Cybermen dice, Barker? That's incredible.
I have no idea. I have a whole set of the Cybermen and TARDIS, and there's one more.
Oh my god. Wrong franchise.
Right.
These are my Star Wars D6 dice. They are D6s, and the one, oh, you're not even going to be able to see it because of the light, but the ones all have different little Star Wars things on them. So there's like a Boba Fett helmet, a Rebel symbol, a Death Star, Imperial symbol, Darth Vader helmet, the silhouette of the Millennium Falcon. They're amazing. All right. Sir. And then Mox. Let me roll initiative for the Stormtroopers. 2D perception. Okay. All right. So initiative is Korra, Jace, Zur, Mox, and then the Stormtroopers. Mox with that 1 on the Destiny die. Well, that's gonna show up later. I'm gonna make a note of that right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need some input, because I've got some really good ideas that don't involve me dying. So.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so here's how combat works in HyperspaceD6. It's a little bit different than West End Games D6. At the beginning of your turn, you're going to declare how many actions you want to take that round. You can take at least 1 action, and you can take up to a number of additional actions equal to your dexterity. So if you have 2 dexterity, that means you can do a total of 3 actions, your basic action and then 2 additional. Does that make sense? So basically, dexterity equals extra actions on your turn. For every extra action you do, you make all rolls at -1. So if you decide, I'm going to do 2 extra actions, that's -2d to all of your rolls. So basically, you can do as much as you want, but the more you do, the less effective you're going to be at those things. You will take all of your actions in your turn. We don't do the stutter step. Everyone take 1 action at a time. That's typical in West End games. So first up is Korra. So Korra, first turn, tell me how many actions you'd like to take on your turn, and then we'll go from there. Of note, moving from one range band to another is a free action. If you want to do more than that, it'll take more movement.
Okay, that ties into my first question. How far am I from the manual override of the airlock?
So the manual override for the airlock is 2 moves away.
Okay. So then I will do 2 actions. I would like to move the 2 range bands and begin attempting to open it.
Okay.
So I suspect it's going to take me more than 1 round.
Yes, it will. You move up, charging across the hangar to the manual override for the airlock, and then go ahead and give me a computer's check. You're going to be making that at -1 for the additional action.
Okay. Ah, dang it. That is 7, but my destiny is 1.
So 7's not quite enough to make any progress on it. You get up to it, and maybe it's the fact that there are likely blasters going off all around you, the chaos of it, the klaxon whirring again and again and again. But as you get up, you just find yourself frazzled and not able to hone in on exactly what you need to do. That 1 on the destiny die, I'm going to say, this is horrible, a stray blaster bolt hits the console that you're working on, sparks fly out, and you're going to need to work around the fact that this console is now also damaged in addition to being locked. All right, that was Korra. Jace, on your turn, how many actions would you like to take?
Just so I know, because we're all dropping out of the vent, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
How far away are the stormtroopers at this point? And how many are there?
There's a squad of stormtroopers 1 move away from the vent, standing with their backs to the vent, sort of looking over the hangar.
Perfect. In that case, I will be taking 2 actions, and they will both be attacks, as leaping from the vent, using the forward momentum to propel himself at the stormtroopers, there is a boom as a brilliant blue lightsaber flares to life, and rolling it around, he basically begins to engage the stormtroopers from nowhere. So let's see. Let's hopefully this goes well.
As you're sort of like rolling towards them, igniting your lightsaber, you hear over their comms, "We believe they've gone through the vents. We repeat, we believe they've gone through the vents." And as the stormtroopers turning, you're already on them with the lightsaber.
Okay, so the first attack is going to come to 18.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Great. And then do I do another attack? Or do I do damage first?
Your attacks, and then we'll do damage.
Yep. Okay. That is 15 for the second.
Both of those hit, so you're going to be rolling damage twice.
Okay, so lightsabers are 6?
Yeah,
was that right?
6 damage.
Ooh.
Yep, 6 dice worth of damage.
Okay. So that is 18 for the first.
18 damage, okay.
And is the damage less as well for me taking a second attack? Or does the damage remain the same?
Just the roll. Yeah, the damage itself is unaffected.
Cool. Oh, that's nowhere near as good. 9 on the second.
Okay. With that, you managed to take out 1 of the stormtroopers. And so go ahead and describe what that looks like.
Yeah, I think because there's still a bit of distance between the vent where he comes out and the stormtroopers, one is able to fire a shot, but he's able to roll beneath it, bringing the saber just arcing upwards, catching the stormtrooper right in the lip of the helm, and there's just this black and orange searing mark that just rips through the stormtrooper as he basically just moves through him with the lightsaber. Rolling the blade around into a defensive position, he strikes again and then stands back, ready for the onslaught.
Awesome. Lightsabers are so cool. All right.
They are so cool. Laser swords.
Laser swords. Zor, you're up. How many actions would you like to take on your turn?
I think 2 as well.
Okay.
Similar to Jace. So quick question. There's no benefit for like overshooting the like to hit, is there, right?
No, there is not.
Okay. Yeah, there's no like overkill bonus or anything like that. Just to make
No.
sure.
Not in the rules as of yet, no.
Yeah. So Zur will follow suit. As soon as he sees Jace leap down from the vent, he'll do the same. Grabbing lightsaber from his belt and like leaping across next to these stormtroopers, landing right next to Jace. As there too is as the yellow blade springs from his saber, the light mixing across Jace's blue in this like eerie mixture. That to stormtroopers, I imagine, would be quite menacing, despite it being Jedi. And then with a 2 quick swings, we'll bat at the crowd of stormtroopers alongside this other knight, probably for the first time outside of training, honestly. And that first attack is going to be, oh, that's a lot. 19.
Yeah.
With a 6 on the force die.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yep.
Or destiny die, yeah.
Yep.
And then the second attack is going to be a 16.
Both of those hit. Go ahead and roll damage and think about what you want to do with that 6 on that destiny die.
Alright, so for the damage, you roll that many dice, so 6 dice worth of damage.
6 dice worth of damage, yeah. And that gets compared to a soak. So the damage is always reduced, and stormtroopers are wearing armor, so it's reduced quite a bit. But once you get over that soak, you start doing
lightsabers ignore armor.
Ignore armor. Oh my god, that's right. So they still have soak, but they don't get the benefit of the armor on their soak. Yeah. So their soak is actually 9 instead of 12.
Oh wow.
I forgot. Lightsabers ignore armor. That's smart game design. Good job, Matt.
All right, so the first attack is going to be 20.
Yikes.
Second attack is going to be 26.
Oh my god. So, not to be outshined, Zor does enough damage to take out 3 stormtroopers in a single round. So go ahead and describe what that looks like. And you still haven't told me what you want to do with that 6 on that destiny die.
Yeah. So Zur will like leap in. I imagine as Jace like goes in for the swing, some of the stormtroopers like jump back to get away from this first saber, not seeing Zur leaping in next to Jace from the other side, cutting one of them off as he jumps, just cutting 2 stormtroopers down in one swing, before kind of twisting the saber around towards another one. Just like thrust forward, the armor doing nothing against the saber, cutting him down as well before bringing the saber up in a flourish, ready to deflect the oncoming firestorm that's about to hit both of them, I imagine. I guess for that 6, I don't know if there's a way to maybe like give us like a temporary bonus on like the first parry, like as they go to shoot at us, like that we're kind of ready to deflect.
Yeah, I will absolutely say you're able to do that. Like maybe you're able to position yourself in such a way where you and Jace are able to like do like an actual like defensive stance together, where you set up this like field where you just are able to block as many blaster bolts as possible. Both of you just locking into this technique like second nature, like it's breathing. And even though it's been a few years since you fought with other Jedi, either of you're able to lock into this, and it's just like the Clone Wars, man, back in the old days. So, all right, Mox, you are up. How many actions do you want to take?
2 actions. Mox is in the midst of the distraction going to pick the ship that they will end up flying out of here. I want one that's close, and I want one that very few, if any, troopers are standing near.
Yeah, there's one off to the left, and with the battle going on, you see that there are no stormtroopers standing near it.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in that direction, and I'm going to roll near these Durasteel crates that are near the ship, and I'm going to swiftly hide behind them so as to completely avoid view from any troopers.
Mm-hmm.
As my first action, do you want me to roll stealth, or is that pretty?
I'd say with the battle going on, you're able to do so without much effort.
Okay, then I want to board the ship stealthily so people continue to not see me.
You do so. You walk up the gangplank, and that one you rolled earlier comes into play as you come up the gangplank, and a Purge trooper turns to look at you.
Can I take an action? Was that technically 2?
So your movement was free.
Okay,
I'd
perfect.
say that you used an action to stealthily approach, so you still have your second action.
So I would like to use an action to say, hello there. I don't want to do that. I'll leave that for Rob at some point.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to... No. Quinway lifts his hands up and grabs Durasteel crates with the Force.
Oh, yeah.
And throws them at the Purge trooper.
Okay, give me a control check, please.
Control, and that's -1.
Alter check, please. Yeah, -1.
Cool. And then I'm going to spend a Force point.
Oh, shit.
To double that.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to be spending your Force points. I had 3 of them. So I'm kind of stacked.
That's actually why I asked if overkilling the attack roll mattered or not, because I was going to Force point it.
Yeah.
Oh, I dropped my Force die. I have to re-roll it. Doesn't count on the floor. Oh, it was a 6 on the floor, too. I'm a Jedi. I have to stay honest.
I'm a Jedi.
It's a 6 again. See? I deserved that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
destiny.
11, 17.
17. Okay. Let's see. Dodge a 12. So yeah, you hit. In terms of damage, I'll say that rather than rolling damage, I'll just allow you to inflict a wound on this Purge trooper without rolling damage, because you're just slamming these crates into him.
Yep.
Okay. The Purge trooper kind of staggers backwards as these crates slam into him, and then he steps up, reaches, and unfurls that force pike, and the electricity kind of activates on the end of it, and he says, "I assume you know how to use that thing," indicating a lightsaber on your belt.
Quinway holds his hand out, and the lightsaber flies into it, ignites, unleashing a brilliant green light upon himself and the surroundings, and he says, "There is no ignorance, only knowledge." He brings the lightsaber in a defensive stance.
The Purge trooper charges. All right, bad guy's turn. I get to roll some dice. Okay, so we've got the big group of stormtroopers currently engaged with Zor and Jace. So stormtroopers have blasters of 3D. Let's see, 4, 9, 12. You guys are both holding lightsabers, so you get to use your parry for this. Jace, what is your parry?
Real quick, just to codify mechanics real quick of that previous 6 on that die, what is that actually getting us right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I will allow you guys to essentially benefit from cover, which will give you a +5 to your dodge, or in this case, your parry. So +5 to your parry.
Cool. Well, ordinarily, Jace's parry using his melee with the lightsaber would be a 12. So that's his normal. So
17 with the extra boost.
Yeah, 17 with the extra boost.
Which is good, because they would have hit you otherwise. And so these blaster bolts come fast and furious, but combining your deflection with Zor's, you're able to deflect the bolts, even with a few close calls. Let's see if Zor is as lucky. Zor, what's your parry with that added +5?
So I started at 15, so that'll jump me up to 20.
You're good. Again, blaster bolt just kind of ricocheting off. You're able to block all of them. Let's see. The Purge Trooper comes at you with this force pike, Mox. What is your parry?
Is this considered a duel?
Oh, shit.
Or do you want to save that?
I was going to save it.
Let's save it.
Okay.
Let's save it. This guy's not worth a duel.
No, that's...
I'll show you.
Yeah. So, what is your parry then?
9.
9. Okay, so he's going to hit with this force pike, dealing his strength plus 2d.
That's what I get for being cocky.
Strength 3d. Okay, 5d6 damage coming at you here. 6, 12, 13, 14, 15,
5d6?
Yeah. So 19 damage coming at you, Mox.
Okay.
Reduce that by your soak.
Yep, that's 10. 10 total after that.
10 total after that. So that'll be, let's see. What's your stamina?
My stamina is 3, so that's my wound threshold as well.
Yeah, so that will be 2 wounds coming at you.
Quinway is struck, and in that moment, as the force pike just jolts energy through him, he is transported somewhere else. What was the name of the gas mines?
That was the Vada gas mines of Thrella.
He's reaching his hand out for someone. The archivist, Jocasta Nu, once serving in the Jedi Council chambers herself, now sent to these mines to destroy all that was left of the Jedi. She never meant to destroy herself. I couldn't save her. I snap to, and I'm on the ground, the floor. My lightsaber is a few feet away from me, and I don't think it's my turn.
It is not yet, at least. All right. We are back up at the top of the initiative. Korra, you're desperately working on the security console. How many actions would you like to take?
1.
Okay, just
I'm
one.
gonna try and get it open.
Yeah. Give me a computer's check with -1 dice because of the broken terminal. You're having to sort of like hack into this as you're sort of like ad hoc repairing it, like putting wires back together.
I've got a data pad. Does that give me an advantage?
It does
can't remember.
not. No,
Okay.
it just basically allows you to take data with you. It doesn't actually give you a boost. There is an item called, I think it's called a Slicer's Kit that gives you a boost that you could look into acquiring before next session if you want.
Okay. 11.
11. That's enough. That's a success. You make some progress. You're not quite there, but you get through that first firewall and you make the necessary repairs to make this thing functional again. And with your data pad, you start doing the necessary work to manually override this airlock. Good job. Okay, Jace, you're up. How many actions do you want to take?
I think 2 worked pretty well last time, so I'm going to maintain that. Jace is going to wheel his lightsaber about, and he is going to channel the Force into his first strike. I can do that, right? I can spend my Force points on my attack?
Absolutely can, yep.
Fantastic. I'm going to do that. This is going to be a miserable amount of counting, so bear with me 1 second.
That's D6, man.
Yeah.
That's I got some feedback at one point on the system that because I had kind of modernized the system a little bit, they would have liked it if I would have made it so that dice were binary successes rather than cumulative like things. So if you get like a 4, 5, or 6 on a die, that counts as a success. But I feel like that's too different. I feel like you lose out on the
I agree.
being able to say I rolled a 28. You know, like that's just part of the joy of this system is adding up these ridiculous piles of dice. And I feel like binary results aren't as fun. So. What's that?
I didn't quite get a 28. I got a 24 and a 6 on my destiny die.
Oh, okay. That is definitely enough to hit. Go ahead and roll some damage and think about what you want to do with that.
So I'm just going to roll my second attack as well.
Oh, yeah, you're attacking again. Yeah, do that. Yeah.
Which is a 19.
Yeah, that hits.
With no other destiny things. So damage. 22 on the first one.
Yikes. Okay, reducing by 9. Enough to take out 2 more troopers.
And the second... 18.
That's another trooper down. What do you want to do with that 6 on the destiny die?
So what I think would be really cool is Jace looks across the hangar, and with the klaxons still ringing out, it is only a matter of time before these stormtroopers are going to be reinforced. So as he's taking down these 3 stormtroopers, just weaving his lightsaber between deflecting blaster bolts, he spots a number of stormtroopers approaching down a corridor. A stormtrooper raises his E11 and fires a blaster bolt, and Jace deflects the bolt to hit the door switch to seal the door shut.
Dope. Yep, absolutely. That's so cool. The door just closes as the blaster bolt strikes home. Nicely done. Okay, Zur, you're up. Oh, just for reference, in a matter of about 10 seconds, you, Zur and Jace have managed to kill 7 stormtroopers. That's Jedi for you.
Jedi.
How many are in the squad? So how many are left?
There are 5 left.
Alrighty. Zur, as like he and Jace break from this defensive stance into this whirlwind of terror and lightsabers, Zur will join in alongside. I'll take 2 actions to make another 2 attacks as well.
Great.
Alrighty. And I rolled, but because these are such a pain to count, I'll need to do it again anyways. So it's going to be 24 on one,
okay,
and then 16 on the other.
Okay, both of those will hit.
Alrighty. It'll be 18 damage on the first,
and
then 21 damage on the second.
2 more stormtroopers dead, bringing the total death count up to 10. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Mox, you are up. You have just been struck by the force pike of this Purge trooper. How many?
And the Purge trooper.
Like to take?
I would like to take 1 action. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be -2 dice because my wounds are -2, right?
Correct.
It's very clear to me that this Purge trooper is raising the force pike for another attack, maybe even moving towards me. I close my eyes just for a moment, reach out with the force, with my feelings. And my lightsaber, which is 5 feet away from me or so, twitches. And I'm going to ignite it and throw it into the Purge trooper as he moves to attack me.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to use my last force point because that is an alter, right? So that
would be an alter check.
-1 because of the situation, -2 more
for the wounds.
So I'm rolling 2 dice.
Even with the force point?
Yeah. In fact, without the force point, I'm rolling just my destiny die.
Oh shit. Okay.
Because all right.
Yeah.
Come on. I need to actually use the Force here. Hold up. I need a Qui-Gon this shit.
Hang on, I need to use the Force for real.
Wada would fall for it. All right, let's go.
He would.
You bet. My pod. No, wait, your pod.
Okay, so this is an interesting predicament. Total 7. A 1 on the regular die and a 6 on the Force die. But 7.
If you want to, you can have that Destiny die explode and roll it again to add some more to the roll.
Okay, I'm going to do that. 11 total.
That is just enough.
Oh, God.
Give me that 6 dice worth of damage on that lightsaber. Let's see what happens.
I'm going to, and there's no armor that can stop it.
Yep.
5, 8, 11, 15, 16, 22.
The Purge Trooper wheels back with his force pike crackling in the air. He says, "Jedi scum." The lightsaber just emerges from the back of this Purge Trooper's throat. He drops the force pike and clatters to the ground in a heap of plasteel armor, smoke rising from the wound.
Quinway pulls the lightsaber back. It deignites instantly. He clips it to the belt and thinks that never gets easier as he watches the figure die in front of him. He moves past him to the front of the ship to get it started and to actually do his job.
Yeah, you move into the cabin.
He stumbles.
You start doing the Star Wars thing where you're flicking the switches up above each. And there's like,
pulling a lever.
All the systems sort of powering on. Everyone in the hangar kind of hears the hum of this shuttle turning on. The stormtroopers are completely routed. They're panicked. They're like backing up and just shooting wildly at these Jedi. They likely have not faced anyone wielding a lightsaber yet. And as they're firing and just deflecting back, more of them are falling as the blaster bolts reflect back on them. The doors to the hangar open. The third sister stands in the doorway. She takes a step into the hangar, throws back one side of her cloak, and using the Force pulls her lightsaber off of her belt. She ignites it. A blood-red blade erupts forth. And then a second. She comes forward. All right. This is a duel. When a duel breaks out, normally you roll initiative. We're going to keep the same initiative just to save time. Basically, anyone involved in the duel on their turn, they declare what they want to do on their turn and then make an opposed check to determine success. You could be just attacking with your lightsaber. You could try to use the Force to hurl some crates. Or you could try to do something a little bit more creative. Just sort of lean on how the duels work in the Star Wars movies when in doubt. Basically, you're trying to accrue a pool of dual dice. Every time you successfully attempt something, you add a dice to your pool. And then when you feel like you can win the duel, you roll all of those dice together and see what you get. Basically, you just build up momentum until you feel like you can win the duel. So in between scenes of the duel, we'll be cutting back to Korra trying to unlock the door and Mox starting the shuttle. But here we go. So first up actually is Korra. The door remains closed, but you feel like you're getting there.
I still at -1 because it's a little broken.
You actually fixed it last time, so it's good now. You kind of hot-wired it to go.
Oh, come on. 12, 15, 16 total, but a 1 on the destiny die.
16 total. You managed to get past yet another wall of security, and then you feel something pulling on your data pad, and all of a sudden it leaves your hands, and you hear this like, and you look, and the third sister standing there with this double-bladed lightsaber is reaching out with her hand, and she yanks the data pad out of your hand and then closes in on the two Jedi. Jace, what would you like to do for your first turn in the duel?
So I think there's a moment where the two Jedi, both Jace and Zur, have like a moment to sort of prepare. Like they see right across the other side of the hangar, activate these two Crimson Blades. I think once again maybe they move so they're sort of back to back, and then I like to think maybe Zur does like a feint forward as Jace then leaps forward to make 2 attacks.
Well, so in the duel, it's just one thing. Just do one
Oh,
thing
of course.
at a time, and then make an opposed check. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just going to be to engage her with the lightsaber. Then
Great.
that is a let's see. It's 23.
23, and I rolled 11, 14, 16, 17. You have earned a dual die in your pool.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind keeping track of that, you and
Yep.
Zur, since you're on the same side, will be sharing a pool of dice.
Okay, so that's 1.
So you close in. She is sort of parrying with this double-bladed lightsaber. Again, the face just completely placid. This tinted glass faceplate that she's wearing. But you feel yourself kind of driving her back a little bit. Unexpected in the technique that you two use. She was probably not expecting you two to be working together so well just yet. So you managed to drive her back. Zur, what do you want to do on your turn in the duel?
As he sees Jace stride forward to close in, he'll kind of circle around, lightsaber in one hand, not wanting to swing too near to both of them, not wanting to hurt his companion, but still wanting to be close enough to lend his aid. Will look around and look for whatever he can grab with the Force that's as large as he can manage to carry with it to hurl at this person. And I'm going to use a Force die to amplify that.
Ooh, yeah, give me a control check, and she'll oppose with her control, which is...
Alter?
Alter, that's what I meant, sorry.
No worries. Alrighty, that double up, doing some good work there. That is going to be 25.
Damn! So you look and find a Durasteel crate off to your left, and you hurl it with the Force. She barely manages to get her saber up in time and sort of hacks through it. It splits into 2 halves and flies off in either direction. But again, she's pushed backwards, and you gain a dual die into your pool. So each of you started with 1. You each just earned 1, so you now have 4 dice in your pool. Okay. Mox, aboard the shuttle, you have got it turned on. Engines are humming. Weapon systems are online. What would you like to do on your turn? You also see out the viewport the flash of lightsabers, and there's a red saber there.
That's unnerving. Mox moves to stand and change seats to the pilot's chair, and he winces in pain as he does so. I'm going to attempt to pilot the shuttle over to the fight and hover above it.
Awesome. You can do so without a check. It's just a simple thing to sort of turn on the repulsors, get it floating above, and then just sort of angle it so that you're over the fight.
And once I'm there, the gangway is still down.
Correct.
Okay. Ooh, to look at her lightsaber. Oh, of course she has one of those.
Oh, it's so cool.
Awesome. Okay. What kind of weapon systems are on this thing?
The attack shuttle has 2 fire-linked laser cannons, basically 2 double-barreled laser cannons on either wingtip that fire in a linked pair.
We must go! I shout from the ship, and I man one of those turrets, either through a console or maybe personally. I'm not sure exactly how they're manned, but I will.
Yeah, it'll be up in the cockpit. You're able to do it just where you're sitting.
Okay, great. And I'm gonna watch for anyone else who comes into the fight, and just actually, I might even just start blasting doors so that they collapse in on themselves, blocking the way completely.
Yeah, you just start. It's kind of raining fire down. Just explosions. You maybe even hit a few of the fighters that are sort of parked in this hangar, and they just start going up in these massive explosions. So as this duel is happening on the hangar, there's sort of like fire and debris falling everywhere around you. And it looks like it's actually her turn. She's kind of like, she's kind of parrying. She's on the defensive, blocking both of your attacks as you're sort of flanking around her, hurling things at her with the force. She looks up. You feel the telltale pull, that drone of the force. Jace, I would like you to make a alter check, please.
Now, as we're still in her presence, I've just realized, are we still a dice down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's 16.
She looks up, and one of the catwalks above bends and hurls down. Jace, you barely dive out of the way as it slams into the plating of the hangar, and now you are separated from her and Zur, who are now dueling one-on-one. So she just gained a die in her pool, which puts her at 2. All right.
That is so incredible.
Dude, the duel system works, man. It feels really
Dude, no
good.
kidding. I'm losing it right
now. All right, Korra, you're up. You feel like you've almost got these doors open.
Door
Open. Yeah.
Korra, there's lightsabers which she's never seen used. There's blaster fire. There's a ship hovering. It's chaos, and she's doing everything she can to focus on the one task in front of her. She knows they can't leave without it. 14.
Without your data pad, it's been pulled out of your hands. You're literally elbow deep in this security console that's been blasted open, pulling wires, yanking things, connecting conduits. Beep, beep. The door opens, and you see the vacuum of space beyond, sealed with a magnetic field, but it's there, it's open. The door, the hangar is open. You hear shouting from the open sort of gangplank cockpit of the attack shuttle. You hear Mox saying, "We need to go! We need to go!"
Yeah, I'll move 1 range band that direction.
You start running towards the attack shuttle, hovering over the hangar. Jace, you're up. You are separated from Zur and the third sister. You can see them dueling beyond the flaming wreckage.
So when we are at a point, as it's two of us in the duel, do we have to sort of use them at the same time to these dual dice to?
Yeah, so basically on your turn, you can decide to roll the dice, and you roll all the dice that you have both earned collectively.
Yeah, it would make more sense for me to just attack and then Zer to, if we get that there. So what Jason's going to do, he is looking at the debris in front of him, and once again he hears a voice in his mind, focus. And using his drive and agility with the Force, he is going to run up the wreckage, hopping from one broken bit of metal to the next, and is going to leap over the duel, reactivating the lightsaber and stabbing down as he flips over the Inquisitor.
Dope. That sounds like a melee check to me.
Yep. Around 20 on the dot.
Okay, 20. She rolls 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 11, 14. 18. You add another dual die. So
yes.
She sort of just gets her saber up in time, sort of parrying you as you drive down from above. Jace, you are now back in the duel fighting alongside Zor. And that brings us to Zor's turn.
As Zor is going to see her distracted by Jace flipping overhead and know that this is his time to press the advantage. He's going to go in saber as he hears the clash of the saber of Jace against hers. Will come in behind, sweeping under before then trying to come back down on top of her. I'm going to go for one more victory dice, I think, before we try for a win, hopefully next round.
Okay, great.
And I'm going to use a force point to jack up my pool like crazy.
Okay.
All right. And this fool is insane. So with doubling, I get to roll 10 dice on this.
Oh my God.
And I got 45.
Oh. Yeah, I'd say you did it. So add another die to the pool. So that puts you guys at 6 now total, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, that's awesome. So you catch her completely unaware. With that much, you might even like get a glancing hit in with your saber. It sort of like cuts a line up, and you see this like burning sort of where you sort of cut her robe, and you can see the armor underneath sort of split open, charred flesh beneath. She maybe even cries out as you get in that hit, driving her further backwards. Okay. Mox, you continue to... You're blowing up fighters. As the doors are opening and troopers are trying to get in, you're just blasting these doors closed. Anything else you want to do on your turn to try and help people out?
So Korra is pretty far away from the ship, right?
Yeah, you see her running towards it now.
Okay. I want to get people on the ship as quickly as possible, but I'm too busy using the guns to fly it. So I'm going to attempt. I'm going to close my eyes while, debris is falling from the ceiling and the walls, closing off all of the entrances into this place. I'm going to use the force to move the ship that I'm on towards Korra to meet her halfway.
Awesome.
Okay, that's 4 minus 1 minus 2 for my wounds. I have 1 die. 5.
You do your
It's basically
best,
like yep.
And you're getting it there, but you can kind of feel the wound sort of pulling at you and pulling you away from the force, distracting you even further.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Third sister. she sort of grabs this strange double-bladed lightsaber at the center of the hilt and sort of thumbs a switch, and it begins spinning around. The blades sort of becoming this like whirling sphere of death. 9, 14, and 17, 20. Zur, why don't you go ahead and give me a melee check to oppose that?
Righty. And am I allowed to use a force point on her turn to oppose her, or is that only on my action?
Yeah, you can use a force point on your turn, yeah. Anytime you make a roll, basically.
I'm going to do that. I want to win. So the being down a dice is only force.
Only force,
checks,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. What am I trying to beat? Sorry?
20 is what she rolled.
Oh no, this pool is not good. Okay, with a 26, I will be able to stop the assault.
Awesome. Great. So she kind of like presses the attack, charging forward aggressively with this ridiculous, just spinning weapon. And you manage to sort of parry and get yourself a fair distance away. All right. Korra, you're up. You can see the shuttle kind of like drifting towards you. You're just about there.
What other threats are there besides Third Sister?
There are stormtroopers kind of charging in, but they're sort of pinned down by the laser fire coming out of the attack shuttle from Mox.
Okay. Then I will use however many actions it takes to get up into the shuttle and join Mox in the cockpit.
Cool. You do so. You sort of haul yourself up onto the gangplank, running up. You find yourself inside the cabin, and you can see Mox. He's sort of like holding his torso as he's leaning over the controls, just doing his best to stay conscious. You can tell that he's pretty injured.
She hadn't felt it from outside, but now that she's this close, she can sense that pain radiating from him. And she'll slide into one of the chairs, put her hands on the controls, and shout, "Let's go!"
I do think you'll need to navigate.
Don't worry, I got it.
Jace.
Once again, a shared feeling through the Force. A voice echoing, "Go, go, go." Jace sort of like looks over to Zur. Lightsabers moving almost too fast for an ordinary human eye to perceive. It's at this point I'm going to confer with my fellow player Jeff. I think it might be time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we're gonna try to go for the win on the duel.
Okay, so you guys have accrued what, 6, 7 total dice?
6.
It was 6. Yeah.
Okay, so you're rolling 6. Third Sister's rolling 3. You just have to beat her. There's no destiny die. You can't use force points. Can't use character points. This is just sheer momentum going into this roll if you can win this duel.
Okay, Jeff, do you want to roll 3 and I'll roll 3? Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, there we go.
That's that mind bridge, dude.
Oh
that mind bridge.
Yeah, you guys are still linked by the Force.
I got 16.
I got 7. So it'll be 23.
Thanks.
Which I think if I'm doing the quick math, this should be pretty good for us.
You close in. The wound that Zur dealt the Third Sister earlier is slowing her down. She uses the Force, pulling objects towards you too, but you turn, either rebuffing them with the Force or chopping them with your lightsabers. You close in together, fighting fiercely, fighting together, synchronized. the link that you established earlier means that you don't have to speak. You don't even have to share looks. You're fighting as if you're one. You get her pinned down. Zur, you come up with your saber and cut through her double-bladed lightsaber, both ends flying out of her hands. Jace, you push forward, striking out with your saber. The saber cuts across the glass faceplate. It shatters, molten glass flying in every direction. The third sister topples to the plating of the hangar. There's a stillness that follows the duel, both lightsabers still humming in your hands. You hear the hum of the engines behind you. The third sister comes to her elbow and looks up. And Jace, you look upon the face of your Padawan. She looks at you, glaring. And over the din, as the silence fades to be replaced by fire and explosions, you again hear Mox. We need to go!
Jace can't speak, can't move, can't think. The voice of his master is long gone. He cannot focus. He staggers back, beholding the face of his Padawan. Again, he's hearing a call through the Force. Go, go, go! And he turns. And he runs.
Zur will see this woman on the ground, saber still in hand. He can hear the buzz in his own head just as much as from the saber itself. And he'll look down at her, then clearly seeing and feeling the link still with Jace, that I imagine that rush of surprise and fear, will be tempted to lash out to end it. But seeing what might as well in this moment be his master turn to run, the saber will turn off, and he'll jump back and follow Jace onto the ship.
The two of you leap up onto the gangplank and let Korra and Mox know that you're aboard. The gangplank snaps shut, and Korra, you expertly, well, not so expertly, but you manage to pilot the shuttle past the magnetic field, and as turbo lasers lance out towards you from the Purge, you punch in the only hyperspace coordinates that come to your mind. You're not sure where these numbers come from. Are they instinct? Is it the Force? Are they being carried over the mind link from somebody else? You type in 7, 15, 18, 2, 1, and punch the hyperspace button. And we'll find out where you end up next time. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This was an absolute blast. I love Star Wars so much, and I've never run a Jedi game before, and this was just a real treat, you guys. So I'm going to pass it off to these guys to do their outros, and we'll be back in 2 weeks for the next session of Star Wars Reclamation. Again, if you enjoy the hyperspace system, there's a link down below where you can check it out. Yeah, let's go opposite order this time and start with Taylor.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Oh, that's all I got. It's so good.
Jeff, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm Jeff. Encounter balance, all that stuff. you don't have to believe me because I specifically didn't type it in chat because I didn't even want to ruin the potential, but I knew it. I just want to say it after the fact that I called it. I was ready for it, that was going to happen. But amazing session, start to finish. Exceptional GMing from Matt. Obviously, all these other players are fantastic. And right from session one, that this has immediately been one of my favorite games in a while. And this, yeah, absolutely amazing all around. There wasn't a single moment that I wasn't completely enthralled by everything that was happening. And yeah, I already can't wait until next time. I'll be counting down the days.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Barker, co-designer of the Lightsaber Duel rules that just rocked. Go ahead, man.
Oh my god, that was amazing. Every other Star Wars role-playing game has always had the same caveat, the same homebrew rule that, hey, we're not going to play as Jedi because it ruins the game. Every single Star Wars RPG until now. Every single one until now has been bad for Jedi, and now this is the one that's enhanced by Jedi. It makes it better to be able to have fun with these dual rules and to flip around the Force, like, and just, you know, say that you do something with the Force, and if it's feasible, yeah, you don't even have to roll for it. If it requires a roll, then you can do it, and you have these Force points that can really put it over the edge, so you can choose when you want to do the big glorious Force thing. And I swear it's been 20-25 years looking for something like this. So well done, man. This is amazing. I'm happy to have played a small part in the brainstorm process of these things, but this is your brainchild and you should be very proud of it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. And yeah, Barker and I like talked through the dual rules like in a rental van on the, I can't even remember where we were driving to, but we just like hashed it out. And I think Barker, you were the one who came up with the idea of like, what if you're just like getting dice, like you just get dice and you add them to a pool and you roll them. And I was like, that's perfect. That's absolute perfection. So I'm so glad that they worked, man. All right, Rob, go ahead, dude.
So, like all of us, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I like to think that I've taught myself to recognize the signs of, you know, those trademark storytelling moments that only Star Wars can deliver on. And yet, I did not see that coming. I do not know how, because obviously it fits perfectly, but I hands down did not for 1 second think that that was going to be my Padawan. So that just blew my mind. That was literally an I am your father moment for me, and that just slapped me in the face. I think, yeah, just to mirror again the comments about this system, I think it's wonderful. I think the fact that playing, within moments of playing this game, I was confident in knowing what I could do, which means really that if you know Star Wars, you know how to play this game. And I think that is what has just made it the best system in my mind. Thanks, Matt. I will not ever forget this game. That was just incredible.
Thank you so much. I just want to
want to do 2 more sessions?
Yeah, 2 more sessions. Yep.
You want to do 2 more?
I just want to share briefly this Facebook chat between Rob Coletta and myself. Rob says, if his lost Padawan is not helpful for the trilogy, then that can just be background and left there. Use whatever you want. And I said, that's absolutely perfect. More than you know.
And you still didn't see it coming?
You absolutely did say that as well. I assumed that perhaps we were going to find out later on down the line that perhaps she was also one of these Jedi that were taken like us to be indoctrinated by the Inquisition. I obviously didn't think that had happened already. Yeah,
dude, Quinway Mox said that freaking thing in the vent. Someone lost you. They'll find you.
Oh,
yeah. When you said that, I was like,
yep.
Oh my god.
Matt's over there working on his poker face.
Yeah, I was like, nope. Rob, when you have a chance, go back and listen to the conversation that you had with the third sister, knowing now that was your Padawan.
I'm gonna do that right now, actually.
Awesome. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. I could not have asked for a better group of players to play this game with me. This is amazing. We're gonna be playing again in 2 weeks. We're gonna find out where the 4 Force users find themselves. We're gonna find out what was in that box that Korra grabbed, and find out what Mox has up his sleeve, because he seems to know something that the others don't. So, tune in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone. I always have to remember how to stop the thing. Hang on.
No, don't you have a sign off?
Sign
Don't
off.
you need a sign off? Sign
I
off.
am.
Sign off.
I'm getting ready on the button.
Oh.
I'm like.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, the new sign off is I gotta do the thing.
Do the thing.
Beep.
Thank you for watching. Take care. Happy gaming all, and may the Force be with you.